Oh, perfect timing, Yagami-san. And here I was about to go without you. Are you ready to visit Mamiya-san? Remember, we're speaking to a victim here, Yagami-san. One whose assailant we defended in court. If we had tried to make an appointment, she probably would have declined outright.
Not sure showing up unannounced is much better, so let's just hope she's willing to talk.
Yes, there's no way around it. It's a risk we had to take.
Well, here goes nothing.
Yes?
I'm Shirasaki from the Genda Law Office, the attorney for Mr. Akihiro Ehara. You may remember me from the hearings.
Why are you here? Don't you know it's rude to show up at someone's door uninvited?
I understand, but we have a pressing matter that directly concerns you. If we could do this another way, we would. I apologize for any inconvenience.
I'm sorry, but the trial's over and done with. You know I can legally turn you away.
You're right, but I'm only asking a moment of your time. Please, would you mind?
I don't have time for this. I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Wait, before you do that. Sorry to butt in. I'm Yagami, a detective helping Saori here out.
And?
I know in your eyes we're just scumbag lawyers defending perverts in court. It was just a paycheck to them, you're thinking. And yes, why should you care?
Wow. It's like you read my mind. If you're so perceptive...
Wait, that's not what I meant at all. Look, that would... Are you aware of the trending video that's leading people to believe Ehara committed murder? Thing is, the victim was confirmed to be alive in Yokohama. And since Ehara was on the train with you, they're ruling him out as a murder suspect.
So, what is it you're getting at?
Just trying to ensure you're in the clear from any of that unfortunate business. If we could do this now, we'd never bother you again. All we need is 10 minutes of your time.
How absurd.
We're only trying to help. But if later, we could always come back another time. That visit would probably be more formal. You'll want to clear your schedule.
I really don't have time for
I understand, and it's entirely our fault. We thought we'd do this casually, but we really should have been more by the book. But it is a murder case, so we do have to make sure our paperwork is in order here. Now, would you prefer to schedule a date to accommodate a more formal interview?
You said 10 minutes if we do it now, right?
We'll make it as painless as possible.
All right. Hold on.
We really do appreciate it.
Well, I'm impressed. I'm also not sure I should trust a word you say ever again.
Really? I did get us in the door, didn't I?
I'm joking. I do appreciate the help. Now let's not screw this up. This is likely the only conversation we'll have with Mamiya-san.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. Again, we apologize for the intrusion.
Let's just get this over with already.
Okay, bye-bye.
We'll make this quick.
Suspicious. Hey.
What the? What the? Hey. Uh-huh. Hey. Hey.
So, Doc, I've already told the police and the court everything they could want to know about that morning.
I'm sorry to put you through this again, but would you mind going over those details with us?
What else is left to discuss?
I understand how pressured you might feel.
I've gone over this so many times. I wonder if pressing charges was even worth it.
No, what you did was both brave and inspirational. Many victims are afraid to come forward for any number of reasons. Your voice might give them courage to find their own.
Ironic. Hearing this from that predator's defense team.
Well, perhaps.
Would you mind walking us through that day from the beginning?
It's nothing so mysterious. I was just on my way to work when some man grabbed my butt. That's all it was.
Nothing else was out of the ordinary that day?
Correct.
Not to pry, but where is your husband today?
Still at work? He usually doesn't get home until later. On that note, I have to feed my son, so let's get this wrapped up soon.
We'll try our best to. Moving along. On that day, you and Ahara-san boarded the train bound for Ikebukuro, correct? Had you ever seen the man before then?
No. At least not that I can recall. How many times must I go over this? Your lawyer friend here already knows everything I have to say. What do you gain by getting me to repeat things?
That's the thing. Yagami-san here is a specialist. He can take whatever you repeat, analyze it, and draw up an entirely new conclusion. Right?
Of course. That's exactly why I'm here. In the security footage as you stepped onto the train, it looks like Ahara-san stepped right behind you. Were you aware of his presence at this point?
I was. It felt like someone kept pushing up against me with no sense of personal boundaries. I remember second-guessing myself at the time.
Then the train took off while you were stuck.
Yes. And then I felt the back of his hand against me. It kept getting worse from there. And the pig had the nerve to write it off as an accidental brush on a crowded train. But that kind of touch wasn't accidental.
Truly awful. And I do sympathize. Personally speaking, some men can't wait to debase themselves at the first.
Why would you say that and look at me?
I just stood there, frozen. I couldn't see who was touching me. I wanted to scream. But what if he just played it off?
Are you okay, Mom?
I'm fine, sweetie. We're just having a bit of grown-up talk. Are you hungry?
Uh-huh.
Then go read your book and wait over there for Mommy. We're almost done.
You said the abuse lasted the entire 6 minutes between Ikebukuro and Shin. Did you see the groper's face at any time during that span?
No. I was too terrified to look. But just as the train was pulling into Shinjuku, I reached back and grabbed the hand. That's when I saw his face. Of course, he shook me off as the doors opened, but I'd already gotten a clear look at him. He must have known I could turn him in at that point.
Right. That was captured by the station.
Great job tailing him in such a crowded space. On that note, did you ever happen to lose sight of Ahara-san while running?
His cat was pretty easy to spot, and no one else was bolting off the platform like that, so I never lost sight of him. At that point,
I'm glad there were good Samaritans nearby.
For sure. And there were a lot of smartphones out. So I figured there was...
I see. I think I've got the gist of it. But now we've got a piece of evidence that contradicts.
What do you mean?
Well, on the same day, at 6:30 a.m. in Yokohama, a student teacher named Hiro Mikoshiba was sent off to work by his mother. But he was soon abducted near his home, only to be found dead much later in Ijincho.
Is that...
According to the video, Nahara-san here is the murderer.
what?
He killed Mikoshiba in cold blood to get vengeance for his bullied son. His kid was about to graduate high school, but instead he took his own life. So Ihara took it upon himself to punish his son's tormentor.
That's awful.
But now we come back to the issue here. If this footage is authentic, then Ihara-san couldn't have been your assailant. The victim's estimated time of death and Ihara-san's time of arrival in Tokyo simply don't allow for it. It's just not possible for someone to make that commute. But there's the flip side. If Ihara-san was in fact your assailant, it would mean this murder footage is a fabrication.
I don't know what you expect me to say after all this.
Right? Now you know how we're feeling. That's why we came to see if you had any leads for us.
So that's what this is about.
After hearing your story, I have no doubt you endured a lot that day. Which would obviously mean that murder video is faked.
Then, who shared that video? And why?
Wish I knew. Based on the quality, something this convincing would need quite a budget. Whether it's CG on top of real murder footage, or just a rock-solid AI creation, no way it was cheap. So why go through all this effort to fake a murder? Who would benefit from it? But I have to say, I feel much closer to piecing this puzzle together with your help today. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes, and rest assured, this will be the last time you see us. Our apologies for the unexpected visit, and for dredging up unpleasant memories.
It's fine. So long as this is really the end of it all.
I'd like to report Mamiya-san's account to the rest of the team.
Sure. Let me give Kaito-san a heads up.
All right, then I'll see you there.
Yo, me.
Hey, I just got back to Kamurocho. Everything good?
All good here, man. What's with you?
I mean, they did run their mouths about stabbing us in the back. Anyway, I'm heading to Genda so Sari-san and I can go over what we...
You're the boss. As for me...
And stay down. Why is this? Really, guys?
Are we ready, Yagami-san? Let's start with our visit to Mamiya-san, if that sounds reasonable to you.
Yeah, let's start there.
So, the victim's story is completely in line with her court testimony, huh?
That's correct. There wasn't anything new to pick up.
Unfortunately.
In which case, should we look into the murder video instead? Like,
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Whether that tape's fake or real, someone had to put it online, right? Do we have any theories on who that might be?
Well, the footage showed enough of the surroundings to make the crime scene clear. As somebody who's been there, I can confirm that the blood splotches match what you see in the footage. The murderer's accomplices have to be the ones.
Yeah.
I
I
also
can't-
agree with Yagami-san.
but in that case, what would their motive be?
Maybe they wanted to make a mockery of the police.
Huh?
We know Ihara got himself convicted for groping, so he'd have but then his conspirators turned it around by almost as if to say, look how he got
I
away.
see. Yeah.
That's well and good. Let's talk about the actual fabric.
Well, the true culprit would be taped murdering Mikashiba. Then Ihara's face would be copied and blended on. That's how they'd approach it in a Hollywood movie.
But then, wouldn't you be able to see traces of it being faked?
Tsukumo-san reported that he's found nothing of the sort.
We've been down this road, but if we take the stance that the footage is fabricated,
Then let's tackle this from the stance that the video's actually real. If that's the case, there has to be a flaw in the groping issue.
so what does this do for us?
Once Ihara entered the Ikebukuro gates at 7:40, he was continuously monitored on camp. But if he really killed Mikoshiba at 7:30 like we saw, that would mean the person in the footage isn't Ihara, but an impersonator.
So that's not really him?
Yeah. He's got the sunglasses and hat to help
Wait, if that's the case, wouldn't Ihara have to swap places with the stand-in sometime before? But we didn't see any opportunity for. Multiple cameras saw Ihara move right up to Mamiya-san, and the onboard camera recorded them for the entire. Not only was the act caught on tape, but his failed escape from the scene was recorded as well. Ultimately, Ihara was pinned down before leaving Mamiya-san's sight, so she had an eye on.
Right. So the current belief is that Ihara was caught on camera
But wait. That's
Huh?
not. Remember how we mocked up a diagram of the Shinjuku station plan?
Yeah. Oh, wait, there's a point where Ihara wasn't on camera at all.
What is this point you speak?
Let's all go over the diagram so that everything will be clear.
Suspicious. What the?
It's very brief, but there's a moment where Ihara and Mamiya-san can't be seen by the security cameras. The dotted lines on the arrow represent the camera's blind spot.
It does appear. So you're saying this is where the groper, the fake Ihara.
Can't say it's impossible,
Right. Except if that actually happened, Mamiya-san would have been right behind them at the time. Could the two really swap places without her noticing?
In a crowd like that,
If that really was Ihara's plan, then I'd say he was being careless.
careless? How?
Well, on the day of the incident, that means there was no solid guarantee the assailant he could have been killed by any random passerby before.
Good point. Not only that, if then the first Ihara would have been caught before even reaching the platform.
Oh, I mean,
Think about it, Yagam. Why would Ihara's accomplices meticulously plan out only to leave such a crucial component to chance?
just doing my.
True. Good work, Hoshino-kun. In fact, I think that may back up my own take on it.
Yeah?
What if everything, including the appearance of leaving the
Can
plane...
you expound?
I'm saying I agree that such an airtight alibi wouldn't have allowed for contingent. And that takes the question to another level. Just how far did they line up the pieces in...
Are you saying there's more to it than we discussed?
I know this won't go over well.
Huh?
Bear with me. Let's say Mommy... If that's the case, the swap could happen...
You're saying the victim of a groping conspire...
Let me just say, I'm only trying to work out how a swap like that will be guaranteed to work. Now, if Ihara and his stand-in both know that Mamiya will pretend not to have seen them, they can trade places in the blind spot with impunity. Conversely, if Mamiya wasn't in on the plan, the idea of a swap would never work. We can say with certainty that she would have seen the swap. She could have even called attention to the real Ihara the moment. That way, the people around her would be focused on chasing the correct. The rest is as we know it. They caught Ihara and detained him until the police showed.
Hold that thought. If your theory is accurate, what about Ihara's trace evidence? Remember that fibers of the victim's underwear were detected on...
Well, that can also be explained by Mamiya being in. For example, while the stand-in was showing himself at the security cameras, Mamiya could have easily provided Ihara access to a pair of underwear at the same time. Maybe the stand-in loitered around for so long because he was letting everyone else get themselves in place. We can work out the other details later. But the point is, Ihara's murder alibi is shot if Mamiya was in summary. It's possible that Ihara disgraced himself to secure an unshakable...
I'll concede that it's an...
And when it comes to the prosecution, they can't question Ihara about Mikoshi was murdered. In fact, their only option is to claim the tape's faked.
So he managed to make a farce out of this.
Well, his court case for his son's bullying did get more school, the investigative committee, and the... No surprise for me that the guy held a grudge against his sister.
What's
Before
up?
we all... The obvious question to me is why would Mamiya be party to such a... She appears more than financially stable. So why would she do something so enormously risky as helping us...
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet. But maybe maybe Ihara has some kind of dirt on her?
Enough
even?
to make her help with a murder? What sort of secret...
What info do we have on Mamiya anyway?
I'll pull her information.
Oh, I just thought of something.
What's that?
If Ihara wanted to use this crime as a murder alibi, but if he had chosen a victim who stayed silent, a solid plan would need to eliminate, which means Mamiya being an accomplice.
That's true.
Looks like Ihara pulled one over on the prosecution then. Once we learn how he's connected to Mamiya.
Let's see. According to her file, her maiden name is Yui Suzuki. Originally from Ota, Tokyo. Met her husband on the job. Her husband, Taichi Mamiya, is an industrial designer. At 6 years ago, she gave birth to their only son, Sota.
Hold on. You said she went to Kurakawa Academy? Didn't I just go there to investigate a...
That's Seiryō Ha you
That's
went
what
to?
it was. Why did I think that... That's not where Tsukumo went, was it?
Nah, Tsukumo-san studied remotely. He told me that.
Wait,
Yeah,
what did you guys even talk
Hey,
about?
why am I getting grilled all of a sudden?
I agree. This is nowhere near relevant.
Oh. When I went to scope out the murder scene, there were these 3 guys. They told us they were just checking things out. But they mentioned their Kurakawa...
You have any ID on you?
Will my license...
Kake-san.
Akaike-san.
What's that got to do with anything? Aren't we trying
I
to
found the
find...
Kurakawa Academy website. Looks like it's in Tokyo, specifically in Ota. Pretty close to where Mamiya.
What?
The girls there get such cute
You little...
Wait, I've seen that uniform on an old picture of a teacher at Seiryō High. Sawa-sensei. Ihara's son had confided in her. Is she actually a Kurakawa grad too? I don't know Sawa-sensei's exact age, but she could well be 30.
Could this mean they're actually linked?
It's a tenuous link at best. Could fall apart any time.
A previously unseen link is established between the groper and the victim. Charting out their relationship is akin to tracing a spider's web. But with each false thread ruled out, only the improbable truth remains. Ihara orchestrated the groping as a diversion, and by tarnishing his name, he secures both an alibi and his ultimate revenge.
Hiro Mikoshiba's murder was sparked by the bullying of Toshiro Ihara, who committed suicide 4 years ago. The graphic video that hit the net showed the world how Toshiro's father, Akihiro Ihara, had brutally avenged his son. We also know the father had accomplices. On October 7th at 6:30 a.m., they forced Mikoshiba into a vehicle, took him to an abandoned building, and gravely injured him. Then, around 7:30 a.m., the time frame when Ihara killed Mikoshiba, the other conspirators were probably nearby, even though they weren't on camera.
At the same time, 30 kilometers away at Ikebukuro Station, a man who looks like Ihara is caught on camera. We'll call that guy the stand-in. The stand-in made sure he was in front of the cameras for more than an hour before boarding the 9:06 a.m. train, the same one Yui Mamiya was on. After committing sexual battery on that train, he meets the real Ihara in the camera's blind spot, and they change places. That's how he established a false alibi for Mikoshiba's murder. And to achieve this, the victim, Yui Mamiya, had to have been in on it from the start.
Sure are a lot of people getting their hands dirty for Ihara. Mamiya, Ihara's stand-in on the job, and some troubled cop managed to recruit...
Well, one person that comes to mind who might be the key to all this. She was the only adult Toshiro-kun ever told about the bullying. And on top of that, she's a Kurokawa Academy graduate, same as Mamiya. Those trespassers at the murder scene were all... Since they're all about the same age...
So you're saying these classmates are...
If we consider Yokosawa the central link, we do know that as a teacher, she felt deep remorse for Maybe she recruited her old classmates to help Ihara.
Yeah, best not to rule that out.
Why's that?
It's just... she's a really good teacher. She's passionate, responsible. I know she regrets the past. And now another of her students, Mikoshiba. So if it turns out she's involved in it, I doubt I'll be able to trust my own judge of character ever again. I'm going back to Ijincho tomorrow. The plan is to bring up Mamiya's name to Sawa-sensei. Until then, let's not jump to conclusions about her involvement.
All right.
Can I chime in real quick? I was looking into Kurokawa Academy and I stumbled across something that maybe...
What's that?
Well, it happened 13 years ago, but there was an attempted suicide. A third year jumped off the school's roof after being thoroughly...
Actually, Sawa-sensei mentioned that.
Right, that's gotta be the same case then.
Huh, and all that info's on the net?
It wouldn't be normally, but his mother happens to be vice minister of... Ever heard the name Reiko Kusama?
Not once.
I have. It was on the news. They were talking about her and her son.
Well, do you remember the uproar in the health ministry when vice... Apparently, his successor couldn't contain the resulting chaos. They couldn't afford another criminal scandal, so her promotion was out of the blue. She was a safe choice. A vet, not to mention her son's tragedy made people see her as a more... She's kind of a new generation heroine, so...
Is any of that relevant to the case at hand, though?
Who knows? But Reiko Kusamoto and Ihara both have children who were bullying victims. I don't think that's a connection we can afford to overlook, if you ask me.
Okay, so Kusamoto's son. What exactly happened to him?
Let's see. He was bullied by a fellow third year at his school, Shinya Kawai. The records say he harassed Mitsuru-kun every day, in and out of school. Well, one time he even stuffed dirty rags in his mouth.
That's so cruel.
Yeah, and the teacher was a real piece of work.
Oh, I remember.
If they were classmates, then both Sawa...
And maybe because they couldn't save Mitsuru-kun.
But to prove that, we'll have to hear from them directly.
That'd be helpful. In the meantime, I'll be working on Ihara's appeal. It's clear they missed something important in the trial, being that he was out committing murder at the time.
What started as a simple harassment